almost by the very nature of entrepreneurship, ambition will exceed ability. My experience from building my company and from all the entrepreneurs that I work with is that what matters most is how you respond whenever you realize that your ambition is exceeding your ability. It strikes me that there is a lot of that in climbing, especially the type of climbing that you do, which is kind of these big wall free climbs. And if you're doing first ascents, I'm just curious, how do you react in those situations whereby where your ambition is actually exceeding your ability at the moment?
I thrive trying to live a life in which my ambition exceeds my ability.
You want to stay in that state all the time.
I want to stay in that state. That's my goal, whether it's in parenting or in business or in my climbing, in my relationship. Like, I just always want to be striving for something that's not quite there. It's what it just personally is what lights me up. Yeah. Climbing is just one way that gets expressed, and it happens to be like an extremely public way sometimes. But what I've learned about climbers in particular, and we joke about this so much that it's in climbing circles, it's kind of gotten codified into something that we call the fun scale. And it relates to, living your life at the intersection of, ambition and ability, in pain and pleasure. And the key to the fun scale is that there's what it's like to experience something in the moment, and there's what it's like as a memory. And they're not always the same things. So type 1 fun is like a vacation, right? Like fun in the moment, fun when you look back on it. Type 2 fun that's the stuff of good stories. And that's the stuff that's the area where you discover what you're actually capable of. It's oftentimes not fun in the moment by the traditional definition of it, whether that be because of actual pain or fear or stress or some kind of hardship. But the memory of the experience is actually a positive one. And that's the important thing. So whether that's suffering through a long uphill, climb on your mountain bike ride, but then having so much fun on the way down that you don't even remember the hard part, you just remember the fun part. Or you remember the hard part with a sense of pride. It's reframing this idea of hardship as something that is a red flag or should be avoided. And then last, there's this type 3 fun, which you do want to avoid. It's not fun in the moment, nor is it fun as a memory. And usually that's just like, it's no good. It's like a car accident. You just like don't want, there's nothing fun about it. So I love this quote from this old British philosopher, Jeremy Bentham, because I think it helps you visualize it. And he says that nature's placed mankind under the governance of 2 sovereign masters, pleasure and pain. And I think for a lot of folks, that's a really comfortable way to exist, right? You kind of isolate these 2 things and you seek one and you avoid the other. The fun scale deliberately collides these 2 worlds, and the intersection of those 2 things is that type 2 fun. And I think that's important because that's where you grow. That's where you discover what you're capable of. I think it's dangerous to separate these 2 things and put the bumper lanes on your ambition in a way that you're going to avoid pain or hardship at all costs. I can think of nothing more dangerous than that, honestly. And it doesn't have to express in like physical danger or ambition or anything like that. It looks like any direction you're going in your life. But the fun scale is just like, it's a fun way, but it's actually, backed by science, with Daniel Kahneman's research that, we make a lot of our decisions based on the memory we want to have and not necessarily the experience. And that's, when I read that, it helped me understand myself a lot more. Why do I put myself through what I put myself through? Why do I do this to myself? These things that are so hard and so scary sometimes. And, in the darkest days of my battle with pitch 15, it wasn't the experience of victory or topping out or anything like that that was my motivation. It was not wanting to live with the memory of almost climbing the dawn wall for the rest of my life. Like I couldn't live with that. I mean, of course I could. This is all like elective hardship, like the most privileged kind. This isn't like actual hardship.